Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Lifetime Christmas murder movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Lifetime Christmas murder movies.
I'm Alonzo, and I'm sorry, I thought I was here to talk about the Ted Lasso finale. And this
is the Deck the Hallmark podcast. Come on, man.
We're
going from the top.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host his podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Ultimately, this falls on me.
It's almost unfair to end the episode with Deck the Hallmark is produced by Aaron Shea.
Well, here's the thing. Trace,
don't blame her for this.
Just to pull back the curtain here, Trace has been asking me to get back in the swing of things. And I've been like, no, Trace, no. And I said, you know what? Let me just let her see if she can hit the sound buttons.
And she just couldn't
even do it. She did not. And that's on her.
It's a low bar.
It's a low bar. That's
on me. Yeah, Trace. I don't know why Brand gave you another chance, to be honest, but
I was watching Fred Masso.
Fred Masso.
Yeah, Fred Masso.
It's a Ted Lasso knockoff.
Yeah.
It's like the Czech Cola of Ted Lasso.
It's real good.
It's
about a
what
man.
If everyone was mean all the time?
Well, yeah. But also there's lots of slides.
Okay, interesting.
Slides you go down, slides you wear.
Okay, great. Good. That's fantastic.
Fred Masso.
Slides you watch on the wall?
Yeah.
Fred Masso.
Good to hear. Thanks, Trace.
But that's on me.
Alonzo, I know that this won't air until Monday, but we're recording it fresh off of the Ted Lasso finale air date. So I would love a quick hitter from you on it.
Wrung out is pretty much the words that I have. By the end of it, was such an emotional roller coaster. I was drained and devastated and overjoyed by the end of it. It's a great one.
Yeah,
I love the finale. It's always hard to say goodbye to friends.
I love the finale. I have two spoilery questions that I can do off air because this isn't a Ted Lasso podcast.
Yeah, let's sure.
But I have two things. But I adored the finale. I thought it hit all the notes that the show started, and they do a lot where they have a lot of the same things happening from the pilots in the finale, which is sometimes when you do that, it goes really poorly. And sometimes when you do it, it's aces. And this was aces. Like there's like at least 12 callbacks in an hour to something that happened in the pilot. And if you don't pick up on it by the end when they're in the airplane, you'll pick up on it then. But I think like for me, I was like, and then by the time they're in the airplane, I'm like, oh yeah, all of this is from the pilot. So that was really well done. And it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I was really happy with how they, the resolution of Keely's storyline had nothing to do with what man she picked.
Yeah. That was very, very important. I agree with that.
Did you tear up at all, Dan?
I did.
Oh, yay!
It's the only time I've teared up all series, but I teared up, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but not much of one. I teared up when the kid runs to see his dad. That's when I teared up. I mean, that for me, like your kid running down the hall to give you a big hug is the ultimate, like the best thing. And so for this kid, like it was such an earned moment for me. The rest of it is always like I smile and I enjoy, but that was very much, the driving force for him, his decision making. So
I teared up most of the second half.
You're still a monster, Dan.
There was a lot of great there's a lot of great stuff in there. My favorite line was though of maybe the whole show is Roy Kent, I'd like to be a diamond dog. I think the way that was delivered was just perfection.
He's the best.
Was just everything you could have wanted from a character and their arc and the whole thing. I thought that line was great. So
I can't wait to watch his spinoff. That is most definitely happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do a little, it's beginning to look a lot like Murder, shall we? A Lifetime movie network joint, LMN. A network I think we all knew existed.
Know and love, for sure.
We're big fans.
OP.
This is December 2nd, 2022 is when it aired. It went a little something like this. The music, it's creepy. The chimes, they're chiming. We're walking up to the finish line. And someone is wearing a hood.
Cake in the building?
Cake is in the building.
Hillary Kovacs and Lee Hodo, do not add cake to our playlist. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Sorry, everybody. The music is creepy. The chimes are chiming. The music is happening, is what I'm trying to say. It's clearly a different vibe.
Yes.
Someone's wearing a hood, poking through stuff in a basement. Doesn't belong to them at all. An older woman returns home to her beautifully decorated home. She hears some moving around, and while talking to a gnome, she scurries over to the basement, looks down the staircase, asking who it is, and when she sees who it is, she says, "You." Next thing you know,
She
she's
says,
at...
"You?"
You cranked the next thing you know,
Hillary, you can add Soldier Boy to the playlist. You can.
next thing you know, she is at the bottom of the stairs, splat, and hood guy is running away. It is suddenly now starting to feel like your standard Christmas movie vibe. Lots of fun, upbeat, snowy times. We meet Diana and Riley. They talk about their love of true crime, work, and they also talk about Diana's new boyfriend, Frank, one who is, I don't know, kind of a lame ball. And that lame ball ends up breaking up with her. The nerve. While she's walking away, she hears a "hey," and she's like, "What?" Then she hears a "hey," and she's like, "This has to be a killer." So she runs and she hides, and then she pulls out the pepper spray. But it's just Frank. It's classic Frank. They're about to talk about it some more, the whole breakup situation, when she gets a call, and she finds out that her Aunt Tippy has died.
Tippy
tipped over,
Canoe
am I right?
and Tyler too.
Diana suspects foul play immediately because of the true crime podcast and whatnot, and how anytime there is a crime on a staircase, it is typically murder. Case in point, the staircase. But what can she do about it? Especially given the fact that Tippy is not her actual aunt. No relation whatsoever. Just one of those like, you're my neighbor, you're old, I like you, you're my aunt. Also, she's obsessed with gnomes. So, yes. She goes to head back there for the funeral, back to her hometown, and maybe even see her ex-boyfriend Matt, maybe even see what's going on there. She goes to Tippy's house, and someone is just watching through the bushes. There's a woman cleaning up the crime scene, as she calls it. It's Tippy's housekeeper, and she found Tippy. She loves Tippy, and she's very distraught about Tippy's accident.
How many times can you say Tippy in this synopsis?
We'll find out. If
Okay.
you're going to give me an amazing name like that, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, we meet a few more players, everybody. There's Bridget, who is Tippy's neighbor and friend. There's Larry, who is Tippy's ex-husband, and he's also missing a button. More on that later, I guess. It's a huge deal. Lastly, there's ex-boyfriend Matt, who is always sneaking up on her for some reason. This movie has more sneaks per minute.
More sneaks per minute.
Than I think I've ever witnessed. He
The
is
SPM here is through the roof.
It's huge.
Oh man.
He's her aunt's estate lawyer, and it turns out that Diana is going to be given the entire estate. This is news to her and news to pretty much everybody close to Tippy. She ultimately decides that she is might be interested in selling the house, and so Matt helps Diana pack up some of Tippy's house. And they find this all these older Christmas ornaments, and they're like, we should get rid of these. And then they find out that they're antiques. And so this reminds Diana, in the process of doing all this stuff, about this Christmas village that Tippy always put up, and she can't find it anywhere. Where's the Christmas village? So they decide that they should go all in on decorating the house because it could help the house sell. You know. And she brings the ornaments to a guy named Jerry. Jerry, how you doing, bud?
Jerry Bowberry, selling antiques, Mo Merry Christmas.
Jerry, you doing good, bud?
Oh, I'm doing great. You're a terrible person.
I checked in on you.
You sure did. Doesn't make up for the sins that you've done in the past.
Anyway, thanks, Jer.
Two wrongs don't make a right, friend.
Okay. I'm your friend, though?
Not even on your life.
Okay. She brings the ornaments to a guy named Jerry, not that Jerry.
That's a take the day off character we just pulled out for some reason.
Who owns I don't know. It is a pawn shop it's an antique store. I don't know. It's very Christmas themed though. I don't know if he only takes Christmas garbs and goods, but it's what it seems like to me. He does, he helps her realize that her grandma's Christmas collectibles were some hot commodities. These were hot, worth lots of money. She gets back and she finds the housekeeper doing stuff in the house that she should not be in. And so she calls 911, assuming that she's trying to hide evidence. Basically it just comes down to the fact that the housekeeper doesn't think that Diana should get the house.
Yeah.
And she thinks that she should keeping the house up.
That's right.
Because of Tippy. But no, it's Diana's house. You can't go in there anymore. Diana comes down the stairs later that night, and there is a dude in a hood. Looks very similar from behind to the person at the beginning of this movie. This person turns around. She immediately hits the person with pepper spray, and it is Max. He came to bring her dinner, and so she helps his eyes get better, and then they kiss and they kiss and they kiss some more. The next day they go to Jerry and gives them some more info about the village. And it seems like he has some pieces that are matching up with these numbers that she found. Basically, he has some of the village that he's kind of been collecting over the years, piece by piece, over time, from a mysterious person. So they go to leave, they kiss in Matt's car, and she spots a Christmas Village box in the back seat of the car. Is Matt the killer? It's not. He's not. It turns out it's just a box of some goodies, like pictures he was going to frame for her or something. I know. It's just a box, though. There is a whole Christmas, best I can figure, like a Christmas Village black market is kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. She ends up meeting with a Christmas Village like mover. Like, hey, I'll give you this. You take it to that person. That person will take a Christmas Village mule.
That was working for Tippy at one point.
Yes. And she says, I don't know exactly who I sell it to, but the person that I give this to has a scar on their arm, a burn scar. That's exactly right. And so Diana is then talking to Bridget and notices that Bridget has a burn on her arm. And when she confronts her about this, Bridget immediately grabs a knife. So guess it's Bridget. Bridget chases Diana around the entire house with the knife, saying, how you gonna stop it? And so ultimately Diana gets knocked out, and Bridget is like, hey, I'm gonna tie you up, ties her up, and explains that Tippy had all of these very expensive Christmas Village pieces just lying around. She'd bring them out once a year and then she would put them away. And why should she do that? She has lots of money. I don't have any money. So I'm going to take the villages and I'm going to sell them. I'm going to sell them because I need the money. And she's like, well, Tippy is very generous. Why not just ask her for some money? And she's like, I couldn't. Now, all of this is being said while Diana has the detective on the phone, because when Bridget walked away, Diana pulled her phone out of her back pocket, got the detective on the phone real quick. So she admits to this whole stealing of village. What we also find out in this admission is that Tippy did just slip.
Sure did.
She just slipped down the stairs. Now, she slipped because she was shocked, but she did slip.
That's right.
So that is important to know. The cops do show up and arrest her.
And we go quiet. Yeah,
arrest her for stealing.
And
does she get arrested for
says
murder?
I murdered her. She says it, and then we find out she just...
It's tough. Anyway, her her and Mark end up making up and making out after the whole, hey, I think you killed Tippy situation. And because this is a Christmas movie as well, it does end with a nice family reunion and a Christmas toast. And that, my friends, it's beginning to look a lot like murder.
We did it.
We did do it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to break this movie down even more here on Deck the Hallmark. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Deck the Hallmark. We are having one heck of a time here on a Monday talking about murder and whatnot. Very excited for this week, to be honest with you. Talking about this, you're going to be gone the next couple days.
Yeah. Tomorrow will be my first ever missed
How are you dealing
episode.
with that?
I'm making it. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to power through.
I'm going to miss you.
I'm going to miss you too, buddy.
I'm going to miss you a
First
lot.
time. First time missing one.
The first
I'm
time
gonna miss
missing.
Dan lording that over you.
Yeah, I know.
I know. That's the thing that hurts the most. It's not missing the episode. It's that Brand's missed 2 or 3.
A couple, yeah.
And I've never missed one. And so the streak had to come to an end at some point. And
but the thing that I can always hold over your head is I'd still have technically done more than you.
Yeah, because you would do some different things. That's right.
But this is the first new Hallmark Channel movie that you have not seen.
And you've missed 2.
Yeah.
So I still got you 1 to 2, but it doesn't feel as good.
Yeah, I know.
I'll say that.
I know.
And I have to, because of the ranking episodes, I have to still watch the movie.
Yeah, you have to be above board there. And then we're going to be in Kansas City. And I don't know if maybe everybody on this screen will be there in Kansas City. I don't know what we're allowed to talk about.
Alonzo.
But I don't know.
I
don't know.
News to me.
I don't know.
You're just throwing things out there.
I'm just throwing things out there, trying to kind of put things out into the universe and see what happens. Maybe shake it up like a snow globe. But excited to see everybody in Kansas City come say hi. And first person that yells cock-a-doodle-doo gets a free shirt. Let's do this. Let's start with a hot take. And let's start with you, Alonzo. Alonzo, what did you think of this Lifetime Movie Network murder Christmas movie? It's beginning to look a lot like murder.
Well, okay, for starters, I don't have a lot of point of comparison in terms of like your standard Lifetime murder movie. I've only seen 1 or 2 maybe ever. So like I know their Christmas stuff pretty well. I know their bread and butter throughout the rest of the year is, my neighbor is a psychotic dentist or whatever. Right. So I haven't seen a lot of those. I don't have a lot of points of comparison. And I'm not against the idea of merging the Christmas and mystery genres. Like the publishing company that does a lot of the cozy mysteries at Christmas time, they'll put out these collections where they'll get their big authors to do like kind of little Christmas themed novellas featuring their kind of, well-known sleuth characters. And I like those a lot. I liked the plum pudding mystery that the Hannah Swenson they did on Hallmark,
which we are getting to finally during Christmas in July. Just to let everybody know,
Christmas Murder Bakery,
Christmas Murder Bakery. Yes. Exactly. Yeah,
it is one of the things we have not seen, and as of right now, it is airing at the end of June, so we'll be able to add it to the list. Very excited about it.
All of which to say is that this movie is, as Dan would say, bad. Yeah, just I thought the bright light of Hotel for the Holidays was oppressive, and this movie, this is never has a murder mystery had less shadows.
Oh no!
Everything is just like we are about to perform surgery in here. Bland characters. I figured out who the killer was, which is never a good sign because I'm usually the worst at that. But I figured most competent actor probably is the killer. And I was right.
Eric Roberts wasn't the killer, Alonzo.
Excuse me. Aaron Gray played Lieutenant Wilma Deering on Buck Rogers in the 25th Century in the 1970s, I'll have you know, which was a favorite show of mine growing up. This movie is boring, and it's about a Christmas village. Like, I know that Brand has learned firsthand that these babies are expensive to put together, but murder expensive? This is news to me.
Yeah. Shout out to Beth Ann for helping me start my village. I don't know if it'll be growing anytime soon, but I really enjoyed having it up last year. So it is very nice, and I've always wanted one. I think I was totally, honestly fine with this movie until it turns out that Tippy didn't get murdered.
Bingo.
When I found out that Tippy honestly did just slip down the stairs, it feels like we have wasted time. It's exactly
Well,
right.
like one of
You
my
can't, like, that's not a, it's, she did, Bridget is a robber. She did steal, but I do not think you can try her for murder. For sitting at the bottom of the stairs
and not reporting it. It would be something, but it wouldn't be murder.
It wouldn't be murder. It's beginning to look a lot like something. I just don't know what it is. And that bothers me. It bothers me that I was promised murder and what I got was a slip. And that's all it actually ended up being.
She's just going to tie her up until she can escape.
That's actually in my wait what, which is she grabs a knife, chases her around the house.
Yeah.
Then when she ends up just knocking her out with a gnome, she decides, I'm not going to kill her with this knife. I am instead going to tell her beat by beat what happened. So, yeah.
007 style.
I was into it, and honestly, a question that has been ringing around in my mind is, can Christmas really make everything better, even murder? And the answer is yes. I did find that out in this movie. It did make me happy. I did enjoy it until that last 10 minutes where it all just comes falling down. And that's unfortunate. But overall, it was okay. Just I needed it to be murder. And I know that makes me sound like a bad person that when I find out it's not murder, I'm like, nah, man,
accident.
boo. But that is how I felt. Dan?
Yeah, I did write down, it is beginning to look a lot like murder, but not murder. It looks like murder, but it isn't murder. It isn't at all.
I guess the title is not incorrect.
That's right. That's right. It says it's beginning to look like, it's giving you a clue right there in the title.
It's looking like it.
Yeah, it's a question of murder. I do have an apologies to make, and that apology goes straight to Hallmark Movies and Mysteries when I complain that everyone just talks through the plots all movie long, because that is this movie. No one is in it but the people that are talking. It's like maybe 8 total people in this movie. Every line for the first hour is just plot. It's just, well, I need to do this to do this. I think this happened. The police think this happened. What if this happened? I found this. You have that. There's nothing else. There's no character, anything. It is just, yes, it's just talking through the thing that we're watching. It is like they made their own audio commentary track. It's awful. It is boring. And then we get some action where the killer chases her around with a knife in one of the most excruciatingly silent, weird scenes of all time. Now, it was a lot less convoluted than Hallmark Movies and Mysteries that try to give you all these very extensive reasons why people are doing the things they're doing. And this one, it's like, here's a red herring, here's a red herring, here's a red herring, here's a red herring. This is who did it. Straightforward. The problem is, and Alonzo, you alluded to it, and I will go further in detail with this during the Wait What segment. They give away the killer in this movie very early. It is obvious if you're paying any sort of attention what happened. And so there's Yeah. And so there's no mystery component. There's no murder. There's no character development. It just is there. And that's unfortunate. Really terrible movie.
Yeah. I feel all that. It's time for all the feels, though. Let's talk about any feels that we had. Alonzo.
Gosh. Well, I did appreciate the fact that I guess the fact that her name is Tippy is supposed to be a Hitchcock reference.
You're giving a lot of credit there
for Tippy Hedren. I don't know why else you would name
that staircase
a
scene is the one scene with shadows too. So
that's yes.
So you never can tell.
Just a thought. And I, as always, got to give a shout out. The leading lady here was once a cast member on
Degrassi. Yeah, I mean, her house was so nice. I love older houses decorated for Christmas. The pictures of the Christmas village all set up worked for me. And the Christmas, it did what I hoped it would do, which is to make murder fun again. Dan?
Make murder fun again.
I fun for the first time. Not again. Not again.
Make murder fun again.
That
The
was
steak party is not adopting that
No.
as the slogan. No. Again, we need to get back to the old days when murder
was fun.
was fun. No. I do have a feels, and it is anytime the antique store owner says anything.
Jerry.
He is there to get through his lines as quickly as he can with no intonation at all. It's just, let's do this thing. He might be the director and he knows they're over. I don't know. But he is there and he's just like rattling them off like we all need to know this antique information and it can't be done any quicker than this. And it's not like Aaron Sorkin fast. It's just, this is my first take. It's my only take. I memorized these lines and I'm proud to hear you to hear me say them.
Yes.
And it was great.
I love
Every time he talked, I laughed hysterically. It was wonderful.
It's time for a quick break. We'll come back with the Wait What and the Once in a Lifetime here on Deck the Hallmark.
Deck the Hallmark.
Welcome back, ninjas. We're talking about it's beginning to look a lot like murder. We're at the Wait What part of the show. I don't know if there's going to be any to go around, but we will try, and we will start with Alonzo. Alonzo, anything make you go, wait, what?
Well, this one's a little baffling for me because at first I wrote down Christmas when your plants are all still on the front porch.
Yep. Classic.
But then, as we got closer to it later in the film, I was like, oh, wait, these are plastic. Are they supposed to be plastic? Like, it's one of those things like the lady with the Zoom background where we thought it was a Zoom background, and then it turns out, no, they were trying to pretend like she was actually on the Riviera.
Right.
I couldn't tell if we were supposed to perceive those plants as plastic plants or if we were supposed to perceive them as real plants that were somehow alive in the middle of winter. But anyway, Christmas is apparently also when your blow mold Santa is still in the cellar. I never understand that in these movies. Okay. We have a drinking game, and that would be for the word business.
Oh, we're all dead.
She talks about her business so much, and you're so devoted to the business, and I'm trying to launch the business. And they never explain what the business is. There's a sign on the wall that says holiday shipping. The assistant, who is stuck in the office the entire movie, rattling off exposition and supportive love advice on phone calls, is pulling ribbon out all the time. But they're not a shipping company because she talks about how you can't control the U.S. Postal Service. So it means somebody else is doing the shipping part. Do they just wrap stuff? I don't know. Whatever this business is, which is apparently consuming her life and made a bad hair boyfriend break up with her, we don't know what it is. But the word business is uttered so many times. It reminded me of when Bibbs first talked me into watching Hallmark movies. And he said, well, it's always about a woman in the city who is a business of the business, and then she has to go to a small town. So, yeah, this is a business of the business.
Business of the business, of course.
Sure is.
The main crop of this area where the film is set would be snapping twigs. Because on at least 3 different occasions, she is outside the house and she hears the snapping twig. There's a whole Mark Twain essay about James Fenimore Cooper that is just about snapping twigs. I thought we'd move past that, but apparently not.
Yeah, they're fine. She leaves them laying around, so it's in Mission Impossible where he breaks all the glass. That's her thing. Is she wants to make
batters them around the house.
That's right.
And then she's one hand on the pepper spray for the next.
She does listen to a lot of true crime. She's one step ahead.
And then we wind up with, the happy ending, the couple gets together. But let's unpack this real quick. She has pepper sprayed him. She has reported him to the police as a possible murder. He, meanwhile, his idea of a big generous Christmas gift is to give her a gnome of herself. A gnome that makes her look really grumpy, that has the angry eyebrows going. Also, ignoring the fact that not that within the last 48 hours, she has been clocked on the head and knocked unconscious with a gnome. Dude, read the room.
And they all lived happily ever after.
Yes. This is not the footing.
I also have this gift down. I wrote, she doesn't like that gnome, right?
No.
Because she gets the gnome, she opens it up, and she says, oh, you don't think I've had enough gnomes? Which is never something you want to hear when and then she's like, I love it. She doesn't like the gnome, bud. She doesn't like the gnome.
Yeah,
She doesn't
no.
like
That's
it.
all I got. How about it?
So you guys remember Frank, boyfriend from the beginning?
Yep.
They break up, and she goes walking to her car, and she hears, "Hey, hey," and she hides, and then she's gonna pepper spray, which is her go-to pepper spray.
classic.
We love that. I can't believe that she didn't recognize Frank's voice, because even I did, and I'm not dating
That's right.
him.
Not dating him.
It was so clearly Frank's
So
voice.
clearly.
It was clearly Frank's
even
voice.
close,
And
yes.
she didn't know it.
Using her name,
Yeah,
though,
that's
rather
true.
than just yelling "Hey" in the dark.
That is true. You should use a name. That is always helpful. Everyone write that down. That's helpful. What is the deal with the person looking at her through the shrubs when she gets to the house? Do you guys remember that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that was what.
Such a red herring moment.
Okay. I missed that was what that was. Okay, great. Thank you. So you know how lots of times at this point we don't even mention it, but so often there's like FaceTime calls and the person on the other end is in crystal clear 4K and you're like, sometimes it's match. This was a very specific case where it was the opposite, where it was so bad the audio was abysmal when she was talking to her mom on the phone. And it was more distracting than when it's the opposite. So I'm just here to say, anytime I've ever complained about how crystal clear the 4K FaceTime calls are on these movies, please keep doing it, because trying to make it realistic is worse.
Oh, real bad.
Because the excuse for that is, oh, I'm on this cruise ship and we have, crappy reception. But this is a thing where they're treating digital as though it were analog.
Yeah. Right.
So in other words, like if she's got spotty Wi-Fi, it doesn't mean like she's going to come in all like with static. Like, no, it just means that it would bop in and out or maybe be pixely or something. But they're treating it like, oh, ye old radio signal is not clear enough.
Was significantly more distracting than the alternative. So I'm just here to say I'm sorry. That's all that I'm here for. Dano?
I watched this movie by myself. We didn't not watch
didn't
this
watch it
together.
together.
I watched it last night, and on my television
Guys,
set,
Dan and I are fine. I know he's not
good.
going to be here
It
tomorrow.
doesn't
I know we
seem
didn't
like
watch
we
this
are.
movie. We're fine. Everything's
gonna
good.
make it.
Never better.
I'm just saying Jerry has a few solid points. Anyway, so when I was watching it, when the original kill, in quotes, happens, Tippy looks down and says, "You," and you see the back of the killer's head. Now, why this is important is because if you'll watch for a very split second, because at the end of the movie, they do a flashback, and what's her name? Gertrude that killed her?
Bridget.
Bridget, that's the one. Bridget in the flashback is wearing a hooded sweatshirt, and she's down at the bottom of the stairs. On the first time through when they show you this, Bridget is not wearing a hooded sweatshirt. In fact, it is very obviously someone with gray long hair that is pulled up. Like, obvious. And if you're watching it that split second, the rest of your red herrings don't make any sense. None of them do. None of them do. The movie's over before it starts because they give you the basic physical description of the killer at that time. And after the movie ended, I actually went back and found the scene and froze it to make sure I wasn't going crazy. And I'm not going crazy. It's clearly Gertrude. It's clearly Bridget.
Filmed it twice.
Yeah.
Like
what in the
seems
world?
like who would be,
And
have
the
that
reason
kind
they
of
filmed
effort
it twice is so when Creep McCreeperson boyfriend is coming in with a hooded sweatshirt, you're supposed to think of him as being the killer. But no, that's not the case at all. Just absurd.
Biggest mysteries are the ones where we know already who did it.
Yeah, well, they did that, and it did look a lot like the murderer. Mrs. Hobart, who is our British housekeeper, has 3 runs at the word entrepreneur, and she says it 3 different ways in her first. She has 3 cracks at it, 3 times, and she's like, entrepreneur, entrepreneur. Like, it's different all 3 times she says it. Like, I get it. You're working on an accent here. Pick one. Roll with it. We'll be none the wiser. We don't know British, but you pick 3 different versions. It's going to call into question.
This was also another a perfect example of an opportunity to explain what she does, and they do not, and it actually makes it more confusing as to what she does. So that was fun. You're an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
I thought she was.
She runs a small business.
But you're not an entrepreneur. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I'm more confused.
Yeah,
Not British, but definitely British Columbian.
Columbian, yes, BC. That's right.
Did she not start the business?
She did. She is an entrepreneur.
Okay, so
it's absurd.
Okay,
it's
Maybe she didn't
absurd.
recognize the word the way she.
She's like an entrepreneur.
I'm not that.
So later on in this week's segment of mansplaining, this dude looks at our lead and says, "Nothing about probate law is simple." Okay, first of all, the idea of probate law is pretty simple. First of all. Second of all, calm down over there. Like you're the only person that's ever read a book in your life. Like, are you serious? You can say it all gets technical or the law is complicated. Nothing about probate law is ever simple. Not true. Not true. And demeaning and degrading. Stupid, really. Just dumb. But I mean, that is coming from a dude who is just creeping. Like at one point, Matt says, "Why is it always bad timing with us?" It's always bad timing, Matt, because you're breaking and entering and trying to scare the woman you love. That's why it's bad timing. It's bad timing because you're weird. That's why it's bad timing.
Just lost a loved one to a household accident that may or may not be a homicide, doesn't want to be snuck up on in that same house.
Maybe even break in twice. Not once, twice he breaks in. There is a brief snow in this movie.
Uh-huh.
At nighttime.
Yes.
It's so brief and so digital that I thought it was a transition effect. I thought it was like the fireworks in Christmas in Carolina. It is 2 seconds, blink and you miss it. They're establishing nighttime traffic, and all of a sudden, digital snow, like at the end of a Deck the Hallmark episode on Philo, starts falling. 2 seconds, and then they switch, and I'm like, that was a weird transition. And then the first line of the next scene is, "Hey, it snowed last night." God, no, it didn't. Not even close. Go watch that if you'd like a fun time. And then I've got
in Carolina.
2 more that were. I do too. 2 more that are massive in my opinion. One is antique store guy who's late for the track. He says this line: "I never kid about money except when I'm playing poker." Is that when you joke about money? Is when you're playing cards?
I think what he's saying there is that when he bluffs.
But that's not kidding. That's not a joke.
But I think he thinks it is.
It's hilarious. He's like, "Ha, I'm all in, suckers."
I think he thinks that lying is the same as kidding.
Is kidding.
Like my
His
kids
tell
do.
is putting on a clown.
Wonka wonka.
It's like when your kids are learning about what like a joke is.
Yeah.
And like what a trick, like I'm tricking you,
Yeah.
and it's like, but at some point you have to tell me.
You have to
what,
tell each other.
what the
Like
what
Dwayne the bathtub. I'm
Yes,
drowning.
yes, exactly right.
I gotta be honest. I was 39 when I found out it was weird that Dwayne was drowning and knocking on the door at the same time.
It's tough.
News for me.
Dwayne the bathtub.
So lastly, I have never seen a mom and dad less happy to see their child ever in my life. There are parents picking up their teenagers from jail today that are more excited to see their kid than these folks are. And I want to be clear, these folks are stuck on a cruise ship and then stuck in some godforsaken city. They're not going to be spending Christmas with their daughter for the first time ever. And then somehow they make it work. Surprise, not even a hug. Not even a hug? Nothing. It's right in. They come right in. "Oh, good to see you." Nothing. They walk in. They don't even put their bags down. And Maddie boy over here is like, "Hot chocolate toast, everybody." And that's the end of the movie. I could just act for a second. I know this is crazy, but like you're her real mother. Like try that one on and see what happens. Like big hug, something. It was unbelievable.
It's entirely Brandy at this point. Like, here, take them, please.
Take them. We got to get through this. Let's go. It's brutal.
Yeah. It's time for Once in a Lifetime. It's where we wonder what could have been, maybe happened. That would give some clarity to the questions that we still have. Any questions you're still wondering about, Salanto?
I would like to know who in the wardrobe department hates the lead actress so much that they put her in that vomitous Holly Hobby blouse for the finale with the shoulder ruffles and the string tie, an ensemble that in 1977 would have been questionable, but now is just like absolutely out of the question. I was stunned at its horribleness, even in a movie that is this cheap and thrown together.
You noticed that, right?
Yeah.
Go back and look. Tell me I'm wrong.
So gross.
The worst.
I have two. One, I am continually concerned that what's the new boyfriend's name?
Matt.
Matt's just dumb. Like, so one, obviously the gift, we've already talked about that dumb.
Sneaking in the house
But
twice.
I can't think literally of a worse thing to put the something in than a Christmas Village box at that time.
Yes.
When you know that there is a black market Christmas Village scam going on, and she's trying to figure it out, could not have picked a worse box. Just couldn't if he tried.
It's bad. It's bad. That's bad. The gift's bad. And then third is she has a cell phone.
Yeah.
You have a cell phone. I'm going to break in twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
For dumb reasons.
And you know that the person, like, does he know that the person was wearing a black hoodie? I don't know. Either way, bad to wear a black hoodie with the hood up when you're just delivering Chinese food.
Yes, I think
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's true.
But that does bring me to my biggest once in a lifetime, which is why did Bridget wear that? She is her next door neighbor. There was no need to wear this black jacket with a hood because she's gone. What was her thought? She can just go out her back door and in to her house.
That's right.
She have a key? Like there was no need for her to wear a black jacket with the hood up.
She did it.
But she did it.
To cover her vibrant gray hair, which apparently she didn't bother to
do
cover
in
up
the first
Didn't
time
do.
they filmed the scene.
I just don't know what she thought. Like, why did she need to do that? Unless that's just a sweatshirt that she likes to wear. Because
Could be. Could be comfy.
she could have easily gone from her house to
Easy peasy.
Tippy's.
It was gonna snow. She needed to have a light wrap on.
And also shout out to naming the character Tippy because she tipped over.
Nice.
Dan-
Everybody in the club killing Tippy.
That's good. Do you have anything, Dana?
Oh man, it's not going to beat that. I can tell you that right now.
Can't.
Is Eric Roberts slowly morphing into Dick Van Dyke? Like he is starting to have somehow bigger facial features, and like the older he gets, he looks like he is like trying to play Dick Van Dyke in a biopic. Like it's wild. It is.
Roberts' wife is?
I just know his sister's Julia Roberts. I don't know who his wife is.
His wife is the unhappy mom at the end of this movie.
Really?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that's not even happy to see her. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I learned that from Patrick Serrano. He wrote about this movie online. I read it afterwards.
Oh, there you go.
There you have it. Our buddy Patrick. even
Well,
wrote
we
about
did it, everybody. Congratulations. A great time.
it. A fun time as
great
always.
Next time we're heading over to Showtime for a wonderful time of the year.
Wonderful time of the year. Just
a singular time.
Of course.
Not the.
Nope.
No.
A wonderful time of the year. Now, I remember when I looked this movie up, A Wonderful Time of the Year, there was the name of an actor that I was like, is that, it wasn't like Steve Lund, A Wonderful Time of the Year.
Steve Lund.
But it was like Steve Lund, where I was like, Steve Lund's in a Showtime movie? Tom Arnold. Brendan Penny. Is it Brendan Penny?
Brendan Penny's in the movie?
There is an actor named Brendan Penny in this movie. I don't know if it's Brendan Penny.
It is Brendan Penny. We don't know if it's the same Brendan
I'm
Penny.
pretty sure the Screen Actors Guild has rules about this kind of thing.
Yes.
Because on when you Google it, it is his picture. But on the cover, Brendan Penny's nowhere to be found. So I don't know if it's he just does a quick, but this is like a family that gets
Got
together.
Tom Arnold in it.
Tom Arnold, and then
Brendan Penny is not listed on IMDb. if
Yeah,
that
I don't
means
see-
anything.
but then
him.
when you Google the movie he's listed,
But he's not in the IMDb cast.
yeah, okay. So Brendan Penny's not in this movie. Also, he's not on the line. So
It's a red herring.
this is classic Penny. This is classic
He is
Penny.
on the line to clear it up?
No, he's not on the line.
Uh-oh.
That stings.
Our Skype, you can't.
Yeah, it's
we're gonna be back next time with another one, but without Dan tomorrow. Until then, maybe we're the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmarks of Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.